Hi, guys. Killer Author Club here. We are live. We have a fabulous show for you guys today. We have Killer Clare Mackintosh in the house. So sit tight and we will be right back.
Thought you really loved me. Guess I was wrong. Thought you'd never leave me. Guess I was dumb. Waited like forever to be your plus one, but I guess you were done. Left me at
Hi there. Hello, Linda's here. I see Linda. So drop all your questions for Claire in the comments. We will be getting to those in a little bit. We have Killer Heather in the house. I'm pointing this way, but it's that way. And I'm, of course, Killer Kimberly Bell, and Killer Kara couldn't be here today. She is having Wi-Fi issues. So it's just the three of us today, but we are going to have a lot of fun. We have a lot planned. If you guys have ever watched this before, you kind of know the drill. We have all sorts of fun stuff going on over on Facebook, the Killer Author Club, and the Killer Author Clubhouse, which is where we hold our book clubs. We have a bunch planned for you next year, so make sure to check that out. We'll be announcing them probably the end of this year, early next. But you do have to join that. You have to answer a couple questions. It's how we keep the bots and the skeevy guys out. So make sure to answer those and we will let you right in. We also have a YouTube channel where you can stream us to your big fat flat screen on the wall and watch us from there. And we are all on every social you can imagine: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. So make sure to find all of us there and follow us. So now, without further ado, Heather, would you introduce our killer author guest?
I would love to. I think I squealed when I found out that Claire was going to be on. I'm so excited. So yes, we're so lucky. We have Clare Mackintosh. She is the multi-award-winning author of 5 best-selling novels, translated into more than 40 languages. Her books have sold in excess of 2 million copies worldwide. Amazing. Have been New York Times, USA Today, and international bestsellers, and have spent a combined total of 64 weeks in the Sunday Times bestseller chart. Her recent thriller, Hostage, a locked room thriller set on a 20-hour flight, was a Barnes & Noble thriller pick. And this fall saw the launch of a murder mystery series beginning with The Last Party, selected as Book of the Month. And now, Claire, can you give us just a little sneak peek into The Last Party, what it's all about?
I can. Oh, you've got it to hand. Look, I've got this. I see your book covers, and I raise you this massive one.
You win.
Egotistical much. So The Last Party takes place in a fictional part of North Wales in the UK, which is where I live. And in this fictional part of the world, there is a border between England and Wales, which runs through the middle of the lake. And on the Welsh side of the lake is a very small, rural, close-knit Welsh-speaking community. And on the English side of the lake is a luxury resort of log cabins, decks stretching out over the water. And there's a big party at the resort on New Year's Eve. And on New Year's Day, when the Welsh locals go into the lake for their traditional annual New Year's Day swim, a body floats through the mist from the English side to the Welsh side. And that kickstarts a cross-border police investigation, which is led by Detective Constable Ffion Morgan, who is a Welsh detective, and her English counterpart, Leo Brady.
So good. So good. Everybody's going to, who hasn't read it, it's going to be in for such a treat. And I'm so excited to know it's going to be a series. And we're going to talk more about the book in just a moment. But you have a very special cocktail for us to talk about. So we have The Last French 75, which is, of course, inspired by the book, The Last Party. Tell us why you chose this one.
This is so simple. I chose it because it's absolutely delicious, but also because I'm a really lazy cocktail maker. Like, I don't want something that necessitates really complicated ingredients. And this is so easy. You literally just need like a lemon, gin, and something fizzy. And so It's really quick to make and it's really delicious. And it's my ultimate party drink.
Yeah, it looks
Cheers.
delicious. I've never had
No,
one. Have you
cheers.
ever had one, Kimberly?
No, I can't do gin. I had a once upon a time a bad little tete-a-tete with gin. So I skip it. And
Yeah.
it's also 4 p.m. So lest you think I'm a lush, I'm drinking tea.
Yeah, I've got
Yes,
water. But
I should point out that it is like 9 p.m. where I am, and so it's okay to be drinking gin
You're
and
totally allowed.
well, and
Totally allowed.
Kimberly, one of these times, I want to hear that story, but we'll save that for another day.
It was not pretty.
So funny.
So let's move on to the killer question. So the last party has been called So Atmospheric. I believe it was Ruth Ware who said that, which I mean, and with twists that will blindside you all the way. So for the people out there who haven't read it and weren't listening just now, tell us, where do you kill?
Well, at the moment, I kill like on my home turf, because this book, I mean, I'm sitting in my writing room, which is in Snowdonia in North Wales, and this is also the setting for this new series. And so I'm killing in my own territory, and my neighbors and my friends, I think, are all a little bit suspicious of me now. But it's a really atmospheric place. What you have, so my town has a big lake, which inspired the lake in the last party. We're surrounded by mountain ranges. The mountain ranges at the moment are all snow-tipped. And when I swim in the lake, which is a thing that I do all year round, and again, very much fed into the last party, sometimes, like today when I swam, the water was like glass. So it was really cold. It was, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 degrees Celsius. I have no idea what that is in Fahrenheit. And the mist was sitting on the surface of the water, and the sky was blue and everything was crisp and cold. And it was so, so stunning, but also quite eerie in that slightly sort of Scandinois way. And so it's the perfect inspiration for a murder mystery.
Love it.
Do you have to wear like a like scuba diving outfit? Like, do you wear like,
like with a whole like flopping helmet on it?
A wetsuit? Do you wear a wetsuit?
No, I did. So I did when I started off. When I started swimming, even in the summer, I wore a wetsuit because it's quite cold in the summer. Yeah. And then about 3 years ago, I just stopped using a wetsuit. I realized that in the winter, it was taking me longer to put all my kit on than I was actually staying in the water. So I stopped wearing a wetsuit. I haven't worn one in 3 years. And I just make my swims shorter as the weather gets colder.
I'm thoroughly impressed. I thought, being from the Midwest, we were made of like some good sturdy stock, but I've heard it's very healthy. Like that cold water burst is such a good thing for your body. So
it's very good for your body. It's very good for your skin. And it's the reason I do it is because it's really, really good for your mental health.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
I'm impressed. I don't think I could do it. I have a very small comfort window when it comes to temperatures. But you were going back to the lake. So I've written a book before that was set on a lake. And what I love about it is that all you have to say is there's a big lake, and automatically something bad is going to happen there, right? It's like one of those settings that is almost made for thriller and suspense authors.
It is. And actually, I've never really thought about that, but it's almost like a shortcut, isn't it? Mm-hmm. To thriller. And actually, maybe I'm a bit lazy in that respect, because my previous thriller was set on an aeroplane, and that had a similar effect. Where
I did that too. I've written one of those too.
It's set on a 20-hour long haul flight. You immediately you've got that tension, haven't you? And I think what it is about the lake, it's the atmosphere. You sort of, I mean, water is a threat anyway immediately. So you've got that, but you've also got that slight feeling of isolation. It's got all the ingredients.
And you don't know what's underneath, that surface. Right. And that, I love I love lake thrillers. Love
Yeah,
them.
someone mentioned your other book too. I'm looking for the comment, but I'm not sure I can find it. It's called Hostage, right?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, it was great. I read it. Oh, here. Elaine Sapp loved Hostage. There
Oh,
she
thanks, Elaine.
So good.
um,
And
yeah.
I loved the structure of this book because as I'm reading, I'm not only reading for a great thriller and for the mystery and all that, but the structure of this was so interesting and so good. So you had this, the different timelines, you had the mirrored scenes, in the second half. Tell us a little bit about how you structured this book.
So the structure is something that I call, and I have no idea if this is really a thing, I call it a palindromic novel. So a palindrome, as everybody watching will know, is a word that you can read forwards and backwards. So the sentence, Madam, I'm Adam, can be read in both directions, right?
Okay.
So I was struggling with the structure of The Last Party. I'd written it in a fairly standard way, quite linear, where I had one timeline, which was the police investigation. So we started with the discovery of a body and we followed the investigation through to the conclusion. And that's always been the same. And then the other timeline I just had running from the summer that the holiday resort opened forward in time until the murder. And that's, there's nothing wrong with that. And if there are writers watching, that is a perfectly acceptable way to tell a story. But there was something missing for me from The Last Party. And then I was talking to a neighbor of mine who is a poet, and we were talking about palindromic poetry, which is, you might have seen some online. So if you read the first line and then you read down, it has one meaning. But then if you read the last line and you read the lines in reverse, it flips the meaning on its head. There are some incredible ones I've read around immigration and body image, all sorts. Look it up. It's fascinating. So I went home and I started thinking about this palindromic kind of reverse structure. And that really, really chimed with the themes in the book around mirroring. So the lake is called Mirror Lake, or in Welsh, it's Llindrych. And there are lots of themes of opposites. You've got this border, the England on one side, Wales on the other, two detectives, lots and lots of themes that echoed sort of reflection. And that seemed to fit really well with this idea of a palindrome. And so what I did was I told the first half of the book backwards. And the feeling that I had as I was writing it is a little bit like you're jumping into a lake. So you're kind of sinking down. So we were kind of going backwards in time. And then in the middle, and there's a bit of a reveal, bit of a twist in the middle, we start going forwards again. So it's like we're coming back up to the surface. And we see every scene again mirrored back on itself, but from someone else's perspective. So what we thought was the truth in the first half is actually something different entirely in the second.
It's kind of like that show, The Affair. Did you ever watch that? Yeah.
That's it. That's
Yeah.
exactly what was feeding into this. You're spot on. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought that was
everybody
amazing.
has their own way of looking at things, right? And no villain thinks that they're the villain. They think that they're the hero of their own story, right? So everybody has their own perspective, and it's fascinating to read it like that. But I want to know how did you logistically do it? Because you had your story written, right? So then you took it apart and pieced it in all these different, how did you keep that straight?
So I did it the way I always do my rewrites, and my rewrites are always extensive. So the first draft of my book really bears no resemblance to the book that you will buy. I would say 30% of what I write in my first draft will make it to a bookshop. But I do it always in the same way. I have a big screen that I'm looking at now, and I have my old draft on the left-hand side, and I will restructure it. So I'll put it into, I use a Word document. I'm very basic. I hate Scrivener. I hate anything like that. We'll talk. So I restructure it in my basic vanilla Word table so that I know what order everything's going to go. And then I start a fresh document and I basically write the book again. And so I never ever fiddle with an old document. I don't ever make edits on an old document. I don't copy and paste things around. I always start fresh, because I write better. So I will always produce better work if I'm writing it again, even if I'm referring back to the old version. You know, I'm not exactly typing it out. I'm looking at it. It's a mixture of two things. But also, I don't leave any what I call orphans. So any kind of orphan story strands or orphan characters that I could easily forget if I'm working off the old document.
Mm-hmm. That sounds like, so my brain hurts just thinking about that.
So I'm guessing then that you use Scrivener to plot your books, do you, Kimberly?
I do use Scrivener, and what I like about it is that I can move things around. And you know, I definitely do a lot of rewriting too, but I do more of rewriting as I'm going. So I'll write fast for, like, I don't know, 20% of the book, and then I'll go back and fiddle and then fix it and move on, kind of thing. But like, the good thing about Scrivener, Word document, I just get lost in a Word document. They're so large, because this book is probably 100,000 words.
Yeah.
That's a huge document. I can never find anything back. But Scrivener, you can see, you know, you can separate them out in scenes and move things around. And especially with something like this, with the timeline that goes back and forth so much in the mirrored scenes, like, I want it color coded. I want the little column of
So I do.
My brain works.
Yeah, so I do have. I mean, don't get me wrong. I have tried Scrivener over the years, and I know it's brilliant, and I know that people love it. I just don't like it. I just can't use it.
Well,
but I do color
what works
code
for you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I have this big sort of spreadsheet, effectively, and yeah, I track. So the way I have it, but this is like right at the start if I'm planning a new book. So I'm doing this at the moment with 2024's book, and I will build a huge table / spreadsheet, and it will have the chapter numbers, and then it will have whose point of view it is in that particular scene, maybe a timeline, sometimes things like sunrise, sunset, if that's the type of book I'm writing. I'll have what happens in that chapter, but then I'll have a column where I ask myself, what's the point of this chapter? So not what happens in it, but why is it there? Why does it exist? What does it tell us? How does it move the story on? And that's really important to me. And then my final column is something I call the reader's journey. And that is my little kind of playing God. That's my chance to manipulate the reader before they even know this book exists, where I'm saying, okay, in this chapter, the reader thinks XYZ. Right. They think this person's bad, this person's nice. Yep. So I'm constantly looking at what impact I'm trying to have on the reader.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. I do that some. I probably don't do it enough in my chapter or my Scrivener document.
And Heather's just looking at us both, just going, what a waste of time.
I write by the, historically I've written by the seat of my pants, and it works for me lots of the time, but it also causes a lot of grief in lots of ways. And so I'm trying to become more efficient and more in a good way, you know, because I want my writing to, you know, of course, keep getting better. Mm-hmm. So I am like on this journey. So I'm, you know, I use Scrivener not to outline, but to write. And because I do like the moving around pieces, but I think I need to find a happy medium of outlining and pantsing. Yeah. I just, you know, figure out that sweet spot.
Yeah.
And so I love hearing.
Yeah, I love hearing Ruth Ware talk about this, because she does a real hybrid. Okay. So as I understand it, she will plan a little bit, and then she'll write up to that point, and then she'll plan a little bit more, and she'll write up to that point. And so it means that she is on a kind of journey of discovery, which I know a lot of people who do write by the seat of their pants, they like that uncertainty. Yeah. But she's got a route map, you know, she's pulling the car over, she's looking at the sat nav and working out where she's going next before she goes on. So that might work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I don't stop and look around. I
Yeah.
keep going. And and so I think, you know, taking a few pit stops is a good idea. And you know, the lay of the land and figure out. So I'm learning so much. I just love this. I love talking to writers
and hearing how others do things, for
yeah,
sure.
love
So
it.
Claire, did you know going in what the ending was going to be?
I did, but then it was wrong. So the first draft, someone else was the murderer, someone else told the whole story. The motivation was different. I mean, I cannot stress how much was different. And this is why, you know, Heather, you just mentioned you want to be more efficient. Like my method, my experience is it is not efficient, because even though I plan and then I write this first draft, I throw it away and then I start again. So it's, you know, we all get there in the end in a different way. I don't think any way is more efficient than another.
And I think that's, you know, part of it is we've all been around for a while here. It's like, we've got to trust our process that we'll get there. We will get there.
And
Well,
also, you know, every single book I write is different, and I'm really I used to get quite intimidated by other authors because they would talk about their process and it was all so organized, and they would say things like, you know, well, I start my first draft in September when the kids start school, and then, you know, I'm done by January, and then I do my edits in the spring, and then I go on tour, and then I take the summer off, and that's like that's the calendar every year. And I've never been like that. My timeline is all over the place. Every book is different. And it's taken me until now, like book 6 or 7 that I'm writing, to realize that actually, because every story is different and the structure is different, the delivery is different. And so I'm kind of okay with that now, I think.
Right. Yeah. So how long did it take you to write this book from like beginning to end?
I mean, they all take a year, weirdly. Even though at the time, some of them take longer than others. I can't really explain that. But yeah, I don't know. They have to take a year because that's when they come out.
Yeah.
But I guess the overlap varies. So like right now, I have had a nightmare this year writing. I had reader's block. Have you ever had reader's block?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I had reader's block at the start of the year. It's awful, isn't it? And that kind of came along with writer's block, which I've never really believed in before. But I was writing, but it was awful. It was wooden. And so I have had several false starts with the book, with next year's book that I am still writing, which should really be done and dusted and wrapped up by now. So I'm really behind. And so this book, I think, will end up taking 18 months because I'm late, basically. So the overlap and the lateness. Yeah. But the actual writing, once I'd figured out what this particular story was going to be, it took me 9 weeks to write it. That's fast. But it's really, it's fast. It was a chapter a day. That's, you know, I had 50 chapters. And I pretty much did, you know, a chapter a day. But that's after 6 months of doing 2 different drafts that didn't work. Yeah. So, you know, how long does the first draft take? I don't know, really.
Right. Because by then, you know your characters, you know the motivations, you know their voices. So, like, you don't have to have all that thinking time because you know the story.
Exactly that. Yes.
Yeah. Because that for me, I don't know about you, Heather, but that for me is what takes so long with writing a book, is because of the thinking time. It's not the writing time. The writing time, we can all write a chapter a day if we know what we're going to write.
Right.
It's just, and even if you have an outline, you still need the thinking time because motivations and things change, and, you know.
Yeah, I agree. It's like you need to know your characters inside and out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you know which direction they're going to take you, and that takes time. Just like,
and I find that I can outline plot, and that doesn't really change, doesn't need to change. But when I outline character, it's only ever going to be an idea of how they're going to be, because actually character only comes out in
Yeah.
the writing.
Yeah, I agree with that 100,000,000%. And Heather, maybe that's like your frustration with the plotting thing.
Yeah.
Plotting it out beforehand for me is 100% plot. And then I have to, that's what the thinking is. It's like thinking through the characters. Would this actually fit their characters, and what kind of character would do this, and all that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Oh, I just love this. This is just so much fun.
So, okay. So here's the question. And because this is a series, and we just talked about it's probably next year, but tell us what's next for Fionn.
So it'll be out next summer in the UK. I don't know about the US because it's sort of slightly out of my control, but I guess next fall maybe. And what happens next is there is so I don't know what it's called yet because I'm still working on it. There is a reality TV show being filmed in the mountains. So it's called Exposure, and it's been billed as a kind of survival show. Like, can you survive 2 weeks on the mountains with 6 strangers doing tasks, etc., etc. So this group of people have applied, been successful. They're on the mountain. Except that as the cameras start rolling, they are told that this show, Exposure, is not about survival. It's about secrets. It's about the fact that all of them have got a dark secret in their past. And if they want to keep hold of that secret, then they're going to have to win the tasks and try and expose other people's secrets in order to win immunity. So that's the kind of the vehicle, I suppose, the mechanic that's going on. And of course, there's a murder, and Fionn is investigating. So that's what's happening in book 2.
I love it. And she has a little bit of a cliffhanger to clean up, or not.
She does. And Leo, well, yes, she has a cliffhanger. She has 2 cliffhangers, kind of. She's got a personal one with Leo and a plot one. I won't say anything about the plot one because I don't want to spoil it. Although I can say there's nothing's going to happen about that one in this book, I don't think. But the personal cliffhanger is whether Leo will be back. And all I'll say is he will. So they will be working together in this book. And you know what? Today I was looking something up because my editor and I were talking about this book, and she's like, this is such a mean reality TV show. Like, is it too mean? Is it, would it really happen? And so I was looking up the worst reality TV shows that have happened. And I found today, you probably already know this, I found this American reality TV show, which is kind of like the X Factor, Pop Idol, America's Got Talent, those sorts of shows where they're looking for a star, except that they weren't really looking for a star. They were really looking for the worst performer. Oh, no. And so all the way through, they had this fake audience, and they voted, these people in, and they got them through to the final, and they made them perform thinking they were a winner. And then they told her, this winner, that actually they'd been the worst. Yeah, she was the worst singer in the world. Honestly, it was. I watched a clip of it today.
That's so mean.
It was the meanest thing ever. Yeah, awful. Wow. And so I think
with that, I could see that there would be a murder then.
Yeah.
That's right. Oh, well, that's exciting. I'm so excited to see what comes up next for Fionn.
I can't wait. And for those of you out there who have been sitting so very patiently, we do have a killer giveaway. Claire is giving away a copy of The Last Party to one lucky winner. All you have to do is answer this question about our killer guest, and we will pick the correct answer. We'll leave it up for about 24 hours. So you have some time. Bonus points for joining Clubhouse or the club, or subscribing to our YouTube channel. And the question is, The Last Party was chosen for a big bookish honor for the month of November. What was that?
So exciting.
All right. So make sure to drop your answer in the comments. And like I said, we'll come back tomorrow around this time and pick a winner. We also adore our indie booksellers. We appreciate your support of them, and Claire has chosen The Poisoned Pen in, wait, where are they? Scottsdale, Arizona. So you can order your own copy of The Last Party and all the other books on your Christmas list. You can order them from there. So Claire, do you want to tell us why you chose this store?
Yes, so it's one of the stores that I visited when I did a US tour back in 2017. And Barbara Peters there is just an absolute tour de force. I mean, she is phenomenal, and she's been a huge support since. And yeah, she's great. The store's great, and I would love people to support her.
Love it. And I'll be dropping that in the comments right now. So make sure to go over there and pick up your own copy.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. All right. We have a quick little news segment we're doing just because we have Killer Clare with us. So as I was reading The Last Party, I kept coming across some words and phrases that are a little unique, new to me.
I am dying to see what these are.
And so we're going to actually test Kimberly. So I have chosen several little words or phrases, and Kimberly's going to try and guess the meaning, or let us know if she knows the meaning of the word or phrase. And then Claire's going to let her know if it's all right. And we're calling this segment Stump a Killer or Slay a Killer. So here's the intro. So here we go.
All right. Now I'm watching the comments. Help me out in case I don't know.
Yes, if you know it, viewers jump in. So here's the first one. We're up ourselves. What does that mean, Kimberly? Do you know?
We're in trouble?
Right or wrong, Claire?
Wrong.
Okay. What does it mean?
It means to be full of yourself. So to be like overconfident.
Yeah, we're up ourselves.
Arrogant.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Question number 2.
Jumper. I know jumper. Jumper is a sweater.
Right or wrong?
Right.
All right, good one. All right.
Hang on a minute. You don't have jumpers in the States?
No, they're sweaters.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah, the whole time I was watching or reading Bridget Jones' Diary way back in the day, I had no idea what they jumper.
And maybe that's where I learned it.
Yeah.
But I know now. Okay, question 3. What's a misper?
Missing person would be my
Oopsie.
Very good. I'm really impressed.
Very good. Very good. Okay, question 4. What's a
fondant fancy? Well, fondant is icing. Is it a kind of cake?
It is.
100%.
Now, is that a brand of a cake, or is that just another word for cake?
It is a type of cake. You know,
Okay.
like you might have fruit cake, you might have a fondant fancy. Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, next one. Let's do this one.
Going to nick him. Well, nick means like cut something, right? So you're going to cut him?
So nick is slang for arrest. So that is a police officer saying, let's go and arrest him.
Okay.
All right.
Catch him. Somebody said catch him. I should have watched that. Shag. Oh, okay. Well, there are 2 meanings for this, right? Shag, or I won't make the other one. Shag can be sex too, right?
Yeah, but what was the first thing you were doing?
Was it a cigarette?
No, that is definitely not a shag.
I thought it was a cigarette. Okay, but shag means sex then, right?
Yes.
Oh,
Right.
Yes, do not ask
Shag.
for
Got it.
a shag.
Okay, last one.
Ah, you're taking the piss. You're taking the blame? No.
I'm afraid not. Taking the piss is to make fun of someone.
Really? Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
would have never thought of that one.
Mhm. No,
It's a good thing I read all these in context.
that's right. Well, that's right. Context clues matter, right?
Right, exactly. Could you use it in a sentence, please?
Yes, yes. So this was so much fun. Thank you for being a good sport, Kimberly.
That
and
was a
thank you
blast.
for being our judge, Claire. We really appreciate that. Yeah, so now do we have some killer swag, Kimberly?
We do. We are going to be giving away a tote bag. Woo, where does this thing go? Tote bag to we do this every episode for one of our clubhouse members, and this week's winner is Kristen Cook Hensley. Kristen, if you are watching, please send one of the killers your address and we will send the tote your way.
Yes, yes, yes. And oh my goodness, where has the time gone? So Claire, what we do, we are so grateful for you for being here, and as something special that we can give you is this beautiful badge that you can wear proudly. I Survived the Killer Author Club badge. So we'll send it to you, but you can print it out, you can cut it out, put it on your shirt, put it on your wall, frame it. But you are one of the few, the proud, who have survived the killer author.
I love that. I love that. Thank you so much. And that English segment was just the most hilarious thing I have done as an author. So I will never forget tonight.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you for being here. And for everyone out there watching, we will be taking a few weeks off for the holidays, but we will be back on January 10th with the New York Times and USA Today bestselling author of more than 25 novels. And she is also the co-host of the Emmy Award-winning literary TV show called A Word on Words. Ladies and gents, our first guest of 2023 will be the one and only JT Ellison. So mark your calendars, January 10th, back at our regular time, which is 9 Eastern, 8 Central, and 6 Pacific, for JT and her next book called It's One of Us, and it is so good. So we will see you then. Thank you, Claire, for being here. Make sure everyone to follow her and us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, everywhere. And go shopping for her book at the Poison Pen and for swag at Killer Author Club. So Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and see you guys next year.
Happy holidays.
I get time to kill her through